So this video is supposed to show us how to draw bar graphs. So I'm looking from page 82 of our workbooks. This is Build Your Skills question number 1. And the question reads, a company tracked how new software was obtained and installed in their computers. The results are given in the table below. Draw a bar graph to represent the data. Now when I take a look at our data table, we see we have a heading that says software installations, and then there's two subcategories. How software was obtained and installed, and the percentage of the total software installations. Now our first portion of our data table is going to represent our x-axis. And I see that I have a total of 5 different subcategories here. So when I go to do my bars, I'm going to need to have 5 bars that go across the bottom. Now these values here are going to represent our y values. So to start with, I'm going to come along and I'm going to mark out the width of my bars. So when I go to do a bar graph, one of the things that you're expected to do is to leave a space between bars. So I'm going to start off with having one box as being a space. Now I've made a decision that each bar is going to be 3 boxes wide. So my first bar is going to be in this section here, and it's going to be 3 boxes wide. Now the next time I do a bar, I need to have a space in between it. And I've already established that every space is going to be 1 box wide. Now the next bar that I draw is got to be 3 boxes. So this is going to represent the width of my second bar. When I leave a space, I have to have a space of 1. And then my next bar width is going to be 3 boxes. I have a space of 1, 3 boxes for the width of the bar, a space of 1. And my final bar is going to be 3 boxes. So this is going to be where my widths of my bars become. Now the next thing I need to do is I need to plot out my y values. When I take a look at my y values, I see that the smallest y value that I have is 4. So therefore it would make sense that I would start my graph at a value less than 4. And the logical number starting at a number less than 4 would be 0. So that means down here my starting value is going to be 0. Now the other thing I need to take a look at is my largest value. And when I scan through all of these numbers, I see that this is my largest value. Now that value is 58. And 58 is very close to the value of 60. So what I'm doing is I'm picking a value that is larger than the number that I have. And a logical number that is going to be bigger than 58 would be 60. So that means then I'm going to need to plot out the values from 0 to 60 along my y-axis. Now again, I need to be consistent when I do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that every 4 boxes represents 10%. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes, so that's going to represent 10%. Another 4 boxes is going to represent another 10%, so that means I have a total of 20. Go up another 4 boxes, this is 30%. Another 4 boxes is 40%. Another 4 boxes is 50%. And my last one is going to be 60. And my y-axis then represents the percentage of the total software installations. So I need to write here the percentage of total software installation. Okay, now I'm all set to start drawing in my bars. Now folks, I am going to expect you to be using a straight edge, a ruler, to draw your bars. For me, it's very difficult for me to do that on the computer, so even though I am not using a straight edge or a ruler, I would expect you to do so when you make your bars. So my first one is 58%. So when I go to do that, now remember, the width of my bar is going to be from this line to this line. Now, this is 60, so this is 60, this is 50. Halfway between that would be 55. Halfway between 55 and 60 would be 57 and a half. So this line here is going to represent 57 and a half. Therefore, 58 is going to be slightly higher than this one. Now, I don't have to be super accurate. Now I need to be accurate enough, but when I go to do 58, it's just going to be a little bit above that. Now again, I'm expecting you guys to use a ruler, and I'm expecting you guys to use a ruler for this stuff, but we're going to draw the first width of our bar to look like that. And that's supposed to represent 58. Now, a good practice for us is to write down that value on the top of our bar so it's easy for us to read later on. Now, the next bar has a height of 16. So my next bar, so my width of my bar is going to be here to here. So I have to do 16. So again, this is 10. This is 20. Halfway will be 15. So therefore 16 has to be slightly above that. So I'm going to get rid of this. And now I'm going to draw my 16. So my 16 is slightly going to be higher than the 15. So again, you are supposed to be using rulers when you do that. And I put 16 above that. The next one I have is 10, and that'll be easy for us to do. I said that 10 was 4 boxes up, so I have to just go 4 boxes up. Do that. The next one I have is 12. So remember, this was 10. This is 15. Halfway between 10 and 15 is 12 and a half. So that means just a little bit below that value should be my 12. So I'm going to have to draw a line that's a little bit below that. And that's supposed to represent 12. And the last one that I have is 4. So again, here's 0. This is 5. 4 is going to be just a little below that. And I put 4 here. Now, a couple of things. I'm almost done. The only thing I need to do is I need to label my x-axes. So what I need to do is I'm going to grab this so I can see what my headings are. I'm going to take this so I can slide it down a little bit. Okay, so my first one was in-house IT department, so I need to write down in-house IT department. The second bar was in-house with help from provider, so I'm going to write down in-house with provider. My third bar was outsourced, so outsourced to service provider. My next bar was outsourced to development partner. Outsourced to development partner. And the last one was other. Alright, so we have to make sure we label our bars. And the last thing we need to do is put in a title. I can use this as my title. So my title that I would use would be software installations. And that concludes our lessons from section 2.2.